Get to know Joe,
Right.
lunch edition.
Right, the lunch edition. I like
And I think we can do the podcast from there. We can
There
have
you
different
go.
guests.
the waiter, the sous
Sit
chef.
down. Tell us about our specials tonight.
Welcome to week 14 of PIX on Pigskin from the PIX 11 Sports Department, high above 42nd Street in the heart of New York City. I am your host, Todd Ehrlich, the executive producer of the PIX 11 Sports Department. With us today, a man who's been covering the NFL since 1978, the year before Joe Masseri was born, a Hall of Fame voter, a Hall of Fame guy, star of the New York Blitz, best-selling author, the one, the only, Gary Myers.
Wow, I like those sound effects.
And we paid extra for this one. A best buying reader of Gary's books, a man who's been watching the NFL half the time Gary's been covering it, the hostess with the mostest of the New York Blitz, the one, the only, Joe Masseri.
They're not saying boo, they're saying Joe.
I
Joe,
like that.
Joe. And Joe likes to run down for the show, so he knows what we're going to talk about. So here you go. And then there was one. And that one may or may not be, or may or may not know the Giants playbook. Jake Fromm has started as many games in the NFL as yours truly, but that may change on Sunday if Glennon doesn't come out of concussion protocol. The Jets offense was unstoppable in the first half with 3 touchdowns. The kicker single-handedly stopped their momentum by missing all 3 extra points. My point is the Jets need to do better this week against the Saints. And the Jets are rewriting the history books. Gary Myers writes sports books with their defensive-minded head coach. Gary Myers is going to tell us who's to blame for this historically bad defense. Let's start with the Jets. They gave up 37 points and are counting way above the next 37 points a game. They're the worst defense in the NFL. How much blame does Robert Saleh get for this, Gary?
Well, I mean, I almost fell off my chair because it might be the first time I heard you make a mistake.
Oh.
The Jets kicker did not miss all 3 extra points. He missed the first 2. They had no faith in him. So then they went for the 2-point conversion and they missed that. So
I just thought the Jets touchdowns counted for 6 points last week. That wasn't the case?
it was the new analytics scoring system that they tell you that sheet tells you that in the first half, you don't need the 7th point.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And
But I think the Jets needed the 7th point and maybe an 8th point. And
well, yeah, but I think last week they were trying out that new theory, found out it just didn't work.
Nope.
And this week they're going to try to go back to kicking extra points.
Oh, they are.
It's better. It is better when touchdowns are worth 7.
Yes. But the emphasis here is they're going to try to kick the extra point. We offer no guarantees.
None here. So, but what we do offer is analysis of their defense.
Yes.
So can we get back to that? Mr. Myers, it's historically bad. Who's to blame?
Yeah. I mean, start off with they were really counting on Carl Lawson this year to provide a pass rush and, be part of a defensive line, with Quinn Williams that would earn respect. And, he tore his Achilles in the practices in Green Bay in the summer. And I just think that changed a lot because in this league, you just can't stop offenses unless you make the quarterback uncomfortable. And Lawson was, you get pressure from Williams up the middle, but you need a bona fide pass rusher. And he looked to be that guy in training camp. Of course, when we thought he was that guy in training camp, he was going against the Jets offensive line. So I don't know really how accurate that was. He was going against Kai Becton, who, was not having his way with Carl Lawson. But In all seriousness, and I mean, I was being serious about that, but
wait a minute, wait a minute,
I
wait a
think
minute. Because right there, though, too, let's not forget we talked about Elijah Moore in the training camp and everything, and he was going against the Jets secondary. He's doing all right. Maybe Lawson would have lived up to all of that training camp hype.
yeah, I mean, possibly. Lately Moore's done better. I think that he became more productive when Zach was out for 4 games. Especially later on during that period of time, and I think he's going to start to develop some chemistry with Wilson, and that's just really important. But back to the defense, when you think back to all the Jets hires since Rich Kotite, you had Parcells, who was just Parcells, but he was a defensive coach at heart. For 24 hours, they had Belichick, and we know he's a great defensive coach. Then they had Herm Edwards,
the HC of the NYJ, right?
Right.
It was a nice ring.
Who obviously knew what he was doing when he bolted out of town.
It worked out for him.
Yeah. So then they had Herm, who was a defensive coach, Mangini, a defensive coach, Rex, a defensive coach, Todd Bowles, a defensive coach, Adam Gase, a bad coach.
And this is an offensive league, right?
Yes. And
Okay.
Gase was an offensive coach who didn't know how to coach offense and didn't care about the defense at all. He just gave it all over to Greg Williams. And now they're back to having a defensive coach, which, as I said on the show this week, is not a terrible idea, because in such an offensive league, you got to be able to figure out ways to slow down these offenses. Of course, in an offensive league, you also need a really good offensive coach. And at this point, it doesn't appear that Mike LaFleur is a really good offensive coach, but I don't think you can really do anything without an offensive line. The Jets don't have an offensive line. But Saleh's been a disappointment to me, not in his leadership and not how he talks to the team or talks about the team or handles the team. I think I like those intangibles that he shows, but because he's been a defensive coordinator on a Super Bowl team, and I know they had better talent in San Francisco by a mile than he has with the Jets. I just think at this point in the season, guys, that you come up with schemes, you come up with ideas, so you're not giving up almost 40 points a game.
Right.
I mean, come on, it just can't be that hard. I know they don't have Pro Bowl level players, but it's not like they're playing with, Columbia University's JV team either.
Well, arguably one of their best players on defense is C.J. Mosley. He went on a little rant about Aretha Franklin last week. What do you make?
ESBECT.
What do you make of Joe's voice? And what do you make
Sorry, Aretha.
of CJ's rant on respect and the lack thereof?
I think Joe's voice is something I can listen to all day on television.
Oh.
Well,
But I would not pay for a Joe concert.
Fair enough.
Neither
Valid.
would I.
All right.
But I think we could get in for free. I feel like we know somebody that could get us tickets.
Oh my God. Anybody who would show up
Who's
for
that?
free still needs more in their life.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I would have to pay.
He's very close with Bartle. Bartle could get us tickets.
Who was it earlier in the year? Was it a Giant or a Jet who had said something about the fans?
Leonard Williams.
Who-
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
He was upset that
Picking
they
fights
booed
with-
him.
right.
There's
Picking
a
fights
couple
with
Mets that were upset about that too.
yeah, and they split it with their thumbs.
Yes.
And
Bobby.
one of them was
Gone.
with the thumbs showing his way out of town.
Yes, gone
But,
girl.
I mean, picking fights with the fans is something you can never win. But what Mosley was saying was that the other teams aren't respecting them.
Right.
And I would never, if I played for a team, I would back in the high school days when we used to play 2-hand touch in the park, if a team had our number, I would never admit to it. I wouldn't want them to know that, hey, I don't think you respect me.
But this isn't one team having their number. This is the entire league.
Right. So I
You have
wouldn't.
3 wins. They're not the Lions.
Right. Lions have come close. In all seriousness, the Lions have come closer to winning more games.
Is this
Yeah.
hand grenades or horseshoes? This is the NFL.
I know
Win
what
or
I'm
lose.
saying is the Jets have won 3
Play
games.
to win the game.
The Jets have won 3 games, but I don't think we
Great.
can name another game that we say, oh, they could have won that game. Maybe I'm forgetting something
No,
here.
with the Giants, you could do that.
Right. And I'm saying with the Lions lost at the buzzer on an NFL record field goal by Justin Tucker of the Ravens. So you can say they could have won that game. They lost on a last second field goal against the Vikings. I mean, I could sit here and make a case and say that the Lions have had a better season than the Jets, even though they have 2 fewer victories. But, you know, they tied.
This is sad. This is so sad.
Right. This is not the case to make to our audience. We did the research, the audience research. We don't do well in Detroit. We have more listeners in New York.
I'm just trying to further emphasize what people already know is that the Jets stink.
Oh,
but
geez.
you know, if CJ Mosley wants,
I'm going to pick him.
Jets getting better.
If CJ Mosley wants the league to respect the Jets, then they got to go out and play better. How can you respect a team that's giving up almost 40 points a game?
Yeah, but he acknowledged that in the whole talk. He's like, it's on us. We got to turn things around. And he said, this is a history. This isn't even just this Jets team. Let's not forget that Eagles team 12-0 all time now against the New York Jets. They have never beaten them. They should be laughing at
Sonny
them.
Jurgensen was the quarterback of one of those Eagle teams.
Yeah,
he should be in the Hall of Fame. Actually, he is in the Hall of Fame.
I'm okay with I'm perfectly okay with Mosley saying we haven't earned anybody's respect and we got to go out and prove ourselves. I mean, that's fine. I mean, you want to see some fire. You want to see players and coaches pissed off about getting their butts kicked every week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So let's give the Jets fans something to be optimistic about. Zach did lead the Jets to 3 touchdowns. They missed 2 extra points and 1 2-point conversion. As I pointed out earlier in this podcast, correct? Oh, wait, I messed that up. You corrected me on that. But there were the 3 touchdown drives led by Zach. For Jet fans, can they just focus on the kids' development and try to take some heart in that?
Well, I would call it 2 touchdown drives. And the first one, they had a very long kickoff return that they didn't have to go very far.
They punched it into the end zone. We are trying to find an optimistic thread, Mr. Myers.
Yeah, I don't mean to be, Mr. Negative today, but it just, we're just grasping.
Halila Jose. Why is tonight different from all other nights, Gary?
I mean, we're really, like I said on the show, the bar is so low for the team and for Zach that we see the least bit things that are positive. We're saying, oh, they turned the corner. Well, he went I don't want to throw out a number off the top of my head, but they didn't go very far for that first touchdown. I think it was less than 20 yards. Then he had 2 good drives right after that. One was almost 70 and one was more than 70. So, yeah, that was good stuff. But then they said, okay, we've done enough. We're out of here.
Well,
and they didn't score the rest of the game.
Quarter off. He was tired.
Well, they had the ball for a minute in the third quarter. I don't know if he was tired or the defense just wanted to give him a rest because they thought he was tired.
Reps. The defense wanted reps.
Reps, yeah. It was all about
just
reps.
the fact that he got them in the end zone 3 times.
Yes, that was my point.
That's a good thing. I want to see more from him. To me, he just looks like he just looks like a little kid running around out there. And I know he's 6'2". He's not like he's 5'10". But he just doesn't look big on the field. He looks lost. He looks dwarfed by his running backs. He looks dwarfed by sometimes, or his receivers. I just think he's from what I've seen this year, he's got a long way to go. But there's still a long way to go in the season where they have 5 games left, something like that. The light bulb can go on at any point. And he can play great over the last month of the season. And then the whole perspective, not only on the season, but on the offseason changes.
Of course.
Zach Wilson can play lights out down the stretch. And I'm not just talking playing well for a quarter or a half or 1 game even. I want to see more from him on a consistent basis. That would allow the Jets to feel good about having 2 really high draft picks. And now let's fill in the pieces around Zach because we have our quarterback. I don't think they can. Zach is their quarterback, but I don't think they can feel like, okay, all we have to do is give him better pieces and he's going to be better, because he just hasn't shown enough yet for me to feel that way about him.
But you know what? The Jet fans have to have blinders on. And I think every NFL team, when you draft a young quarterback, has to put on blinders because that's what your entire future rests on, is drafting well. Right. And so regardless of what happens with the defense, regardless of anything that's going on along the offensive line, and yes, that will contribute to how well Zach Wilson plays, but that's where your focus needs to be. And do you see signs of growth and potential for the future? Look, I agree with you. The fact that they didn't make any adjustments in the second half, the fact that they couldn't get a third down conversion after that, what was it, a 8-minute drive, I think that Philadelphia had, or maybe it was a 10-minute drive to start the third quarter. That was a little disheartening and concerning, and that's where the game got away from them. The Jets defense gave up touchdowns on 7 consecutive drives to start the game. Awful. You're not going to win many games, if any, when it starts like that.
So, and just look at the way Belichick adjusted, okay? Monday night
3 throws.
No, listen to the adjustment that he made. Monday night in Buffalo, he had Mac Jones throw 1 pass. The wind might have let up by about 5 miles an hour in the second half. That's why he allowed him to throw 2 passes.
He doubled.
He adjusted.
He adjusted and doubled. That's brilliant.
That's game planning right there.
So speaking of coaching, can I just bring something up that really bothered me?
Uh-oh.
Jets cornerback Bryce Hall said the Jets didn't prepare for Gardner Minshew. And, it showed.
Mosley said it too.
Well, true. So it looks like the Saints will be led by Taysom Hill, who ran for over 100 yards last week. Do you think their prep for Jalen Hurts and his running ability could actually pay dividends this weekend against the Saints? Gary Myers, optimistic bright spot. Go.
Well, Hurts and Hill might each run a lot, but they're completely different players. Hill is like a fullback.
Yeah.
He's not going to juke his way around anybody, where Jalen Hurts is pretty elusive. It bothers me that these defensive players are saying they prepared only for Jalen Hurts. Saleh denied that. I think that it's pretty clear that New Orleans is going to try to run it down the Jets' throat on Sunday. They're getting Alvin Kamara back. He's missed the last 4 games. The Saints, not coincidentally, have lost all 4 of those games. They switch quarterbacks, from Simeon to Hill. And I mean, Hill had a bizarre game last week. He threw for almost 300 yards, but he threw 4 interceptions, and he also ran for over 100 yards.
Yep.
I mean, that's one of the weirdest lines.
He did everything.
Yeah. He's everything but win the game, because
interceptions and running and passing, all the phases.
He hit all the open, targets on both sides.
Both color jerseys.
Yeah. I mean, he's a scary player only because he is capable of winning games and beating you in a different way than almost any quarterback in the league. But he's also scary to the Saints because he threw 4 interceptions to Dallas.
And down the stretch there, too, he banged up his hand. He was in rough shape on the helmet. He was it looked like he had no touch on the ball. I mean, I thought his finger was broken the way he was throwing it out there. He was just throw so poorly.
Looked like
it was, I think, the same type of injury as Russell Wilson, just not as bad.
Looked like Russell Wilson. All right, prediction time. Gary Myers, you're always optimistic when it comes to the Jets. Who's going to win this weekend?
It's a really good thing that you don't bet the money line on the Jets every week.
Why do you say that?
Yeah, but no. That's false.
Right.
That's false because he wins one bet. It pays for like his entire season.
Right.
Because he should bet the money line. You need to go like 20%. You're getting like 5-1 on your money at least.
Well, I guess he has. He's got a new house now, so
there you
go. I do.
With 12 big screen televisions.
Exactly. 285 inches. I'm going to
Joe,
put
when do you think he's inviting
in the pool?
When's the housewarming party for me?
Well, I'm not going until he gets the pool table, dining room table.
Yes, that's coming.
Yeah, as soon as he gets it, that's when I'm.
Have you looked into that any further?
8 foot or 7 foot.
Oh, you got to go 8. Come on.
I know, but there's a configuration situation.
Todd, did Buttle set you up with his guy? Did you find one of those?
No. Do you have a guy? I need a guy. Anybody listening to this podcast, I need a pool table guy. I need a pool table that turns into a dining room table. Ping pong would be nice, but definitely dining room pool table.
What happens with that? Like if you put your drink in one of the corner pockets?
I would highly recommend. You will not be invited back. Debbie would not be happy.
Would the drink just then float out? to where the ball.
I
where
think
the-
you would just float out.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't do
Oh.
that.
No.
Especially with
No
the drinks
Miami
you
Vices
drink.
in the corner
Right.
pocket.
Yeah, no Miami Vices.
So we're
Terrible.
looking for a prediction.
Prediction,
We're
yes.
still looking for one.
I say the Saints are going to run for over 200 yards
Oh no,
Saints run the table.
the
Yeah.
bull table.
and break their 4-game losing streak
Oh no.
and get the Jets closer where they need to be to the top of the draft
Jeff,
So they
Bezos,
can get-
cover your ears.
so they can get Aiden Hutchinson,
Ooh.
Oh,
who to me is J.J. Watt,
really?
hopefully without the injuries.
How about
Yeah.
how about TJ Watt?
Yeah, his brother's good too.
Well,
We'll
either
settle.
one will be fine. He
Right.
just reminds me more. He just kind of reminds me more of JJ's. I think that JJ's bigger than TJ, and Hutchinson's a big dude. So, but in any event, fans always get on me when I say this stuff, and I'm not in any way saying players ever try to lose or coaches try to lose. I'm just saying it's really to the Jets' benefit to lose as many of these last 5 games as possible. But at the same time, if it is not mutually exclusive, to have Wilson take it up a notch, even if they don't win the games, just for him to play better. But they have a chance to have an historic draft here with 2 picks so high. I mean, they've never had 2 picks in the top 10. Not that a lot of teams have, but they really need to take advantage of this draft. And the further they move down, presumably the less impact players they get. So they want to lose. They want the Seahawks to lose, and hopefully, while that's going on, for Zach Wilson to play well. But I think that their defense will once again come up small, and they'll lose something like 27 to. I'll give them 17. Well, I'm not sure how that gives them 2 extra points and a field goal.
And you're saying the defense will improve by 10 points over their average.
Yeah,
They're only
the
giving up
Saints.
27 points.
I don't know how
This
they're
is
going
not
to score
Drew-
17 points against this Saints defense.
This is not
Long
the Drew
kickoff
Brees
return
offense.
apparently helps.
This is not the Drew Brees offense. So
No.
they're not going to be scoring 40. But maybe the Jets won't score 17. Maybe I was.
Yeah, I think
Maybe-
you're optimistic there if you think they're going to score 17
Which
points.
we
this week.
appreciate. on
That
this
is your
podcast.
optimism. It's nice to
Right.
see a ray
I
of.
did ask for that, didn't I?
Yep.
Todd is brainwashing me,
Yes. I'm trying.
Yeah.
but I still won't pick them to win.
No,
Fair
I
enough.
see that.
Fair enough.
Stand your ground, Gary.
I think
Myers.
the
Joe?
Jets take a big step back this week offensively because they're just stepping up in competition defensively here. This Saints defense is really good, and they're on extra rest, and they get Kamara back on offense, which is going to help them a little bit. They are one-dimensional; they can't throw the ball, and Taysom Hill is very inaccurate. However, I just don't think the Jets. I mean, he even might be able to look good against the Jets secondary based on the way that they've been playing this season. So I think this is going to be a very one-sided game. I think I'm going to go 28-6.
I think it's a one-sided game as well. I think Kamara does not come back strong. Takes running backs a little while to come back. I think Taysom Hill cannot throw the ball. The swirling winds of MetLife. I think they'll be intimidated by the crowd,
Oh boy.
by the Jets crowd. And the Jets will win 17-16. I always give them
one point win.
All right, Big Blue, making Gary feel blue. At the time of this taping, this podcast, Daniel Jones has not been cleared for contact. Mike Glennon is still in concussion protocol. So next man up, Jake Fromm, the kid from Georgia.
By way of Buffalo.
Signed off their practice squad. And historically, Gary, you're a historian. I wanted to check with you. Buffalo's practice squad, has that been a place to find Hall of Fame quarterbacks? Gary Myers, go.
Well, I think it's considered the cradle of quarterbacks 2.0 after Western Pennsylvania, that produced Joe Montana, Jim Kelly, Joe Namath.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm forgetting some others. But yeah, I mean, especially the guy that was behind Davis Webb on the practice squad
Ouch.
getting reps.
Mm.
4th string quarterback.
That's not good.
But on the bright side, and I'm always trying to find the bright side.
Always optimistic, Gary Myers.
And Joe knows this. Jake Fromm was so good at Georgia that he forced
How good was he?
He forced Justin Fields to transfer to Ohio State. He beat him out. Justin Fields transferred to Ohio State. So he's got to have a little something going for him.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yes. Now, who beat out Joe Burrow to make him transfer from Ohio? Wait, that was Dwayne Haskins. Burrow went to LSU.
That didn't
Won
work
a
out
national
so well.
championship and then played well for the Bengals. Dwayne Haskins, who beat
He
him
won a
out.
national championship, didn't he?
He was drafted by Washington. He's in Pittsburgh. He's awful. So I don't know if that's. I think it was interesting, guy. I like what you did there, but I don't know if your track record stands up under scrutiny. So the G-men are heading to LA to take on the Red Hot Chargers. LA has won 4 games in a row. What can the Giants do to try to slow their roll?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what their situation will be on Sunday, but with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both on the COVID list this week, I'm not sure if one of them, I believe, was a close contact, and the other one actually had COVID. I forget which was which.
I think Keenan Allen had it.
Yeah, I think you're right, because he was announced earlier in the week, and I believe that's right. So you would think that Williams, as long as he's vaccinated, and I don't know that he is or isn't, being a close contact, would have an opportunity to get off that list in time for Sunday. But as far as the Giants are concerned, they wish them both good health, but after Sunday, that they don't play
Monday morning, they should wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Right. But on Sunday, the Giants hope those two guys are home watching on television. But even so, I don't see. I like Justin Herbert with his backup receivers much more than I like the Giants with their third-string quarterback.
Wow. Ouch.
I might even like Justin Herbert with his backup receivers more than I like the Giants with their first-string quarterback.
Wow.
In fact, I do.
Wow.
I do.
Oh,
wow.
Maybe the Giants are going through a week-long bonding experience in Tucson before they jet over to LA. They're sitting around the campfire and telling stories and
like Burning Man.
Maybe this is like Pete Carroll taking his guys bowling when he was with the Jets and getting criticized for it. Now every coach takes his guys bowling. I
tried to make you bowl, as I recall.
Yeah. I would think if Judge was looking to have this team bond, that he's doing it with 30 to 40% of the players who aren't even going to be here next year. That he should have done this in training camp or earlier in the season, but a bonding trip in the middle of December, to me, big deal.
Okay. Number one, they should have been in playoff position. They should have beat Miami, so it would have been a bigger deal. Number two, I don't think it was bonding as much as it was logistics.
Yes.
And he explained you had to fly to Miami, to fly back, then to fly to the West Coast. I thought it was smart to go to Arizona from Miami, split up the travel, then go to LA. So here's the question for you.
No, I want to disagree with you about something here.
Well, I want to disagree with you about
It's not like they're in Seattle and then playing in LA and then they go to Tucson.
This is what the man said. I'm telling you what the man said. And he planned it in the off season.
Well, good for him. It's a 3-hour flight home.
Look, all I could say is look at
I'm not saying it's a bad idea, Todd.
His decisions have all been Oh.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but he's not doing it. They would have been home Sunday night, it tucked away in their beds by 10:30, or they could have been watching the second half of the Sunday night game, and then they wouldn't travel until Friday or Saturday. So I don't buy the travel is the reason.
You don't buy it?
Yeah, but
do you buy Joe Judge's assessment of their play in Miami last weekend?
Oh boy.
No, he's just, I don't know what he's doing, but he's really ticking off Giant fans because it makes it seem like he's just delusional when he claims that he's tough on the players behind the scenes. But to come out after they scored 3 field goals and claim, he saw, really good play from a lot of players and big play. I mean, New York fans are
Ridiculous.
too smart for that.
Yeah.
Come
Well,
on.
what about Carl Banks's evaluation
Yeah.
of the Giants?
More realistic.
Yeah.
More realistic.
More
I mean,
accurate.
More accurate.
if I was a Giants fan, my message to Joe Judge would be, get that weak crap out of here. Don't be trying to pass this off as
It's
honest
like you coming
evaluation.
down the lane against no average Joe.
That's it.
That's
Leave
right.
that weak
Swat
sauce at
that
home.
stuff.
The guy
No
goes
easy baskets.
4th and short 3 times near midfield, and he's punting.
Pathetic. The decision making is ridiculous.
No, but listen, I got to say, I get why he punted in those situations. And because it looks like his defense is going to have a better opportunity score than his offense. And I'm not saying I would have made the same decision, but they just look brutally inept on offense.
Was it a parody account, or did he actually say, I needed to get my punter into a rhythm because I knew we were going to need him?
I don't know.
I hope that was a parody account that I was reading.
I didn't hear that. That's funny, though.
It should be.
Sean Landetta would be on board with that.
Yeah,
So
I know.
Gary
But
Myers, let me ask
here's
you
the
a
thing
question.
about Judge, okay, guys?
Yes.
One of the best introductory press conferences. As they say, he won the press conference 2 years ago. Came out talking tough. I know what
Lunch
New York
pail.
is about. This is going to be a team that New Yorkers can be proud of. I haven't seen it at all. I haven't seen it in his decision making. New Yorkers are
But
aggressive.
it's not just his decision making. He wants to run the ball. When you look at it out there, they can't do it. They cannot run the ball. And Gettleman made it all about the offensive line. And they just, I don't know if that's on coaching or if that's on him, because Eric Flowers is doing all right down in Washington right now. Justin Pugh's out with the Cardinals. You know, he's been pretty good out there with them. I mean, look, they're not superstars, but they're average offensive linemen, and better than what's on the Giants' offensive line.
I mean,
right
they
now.
gave up on 2 first-round offensive linemen. Now,
Right.
Flowers was miserable here as a tackle, but he's had success as a guard. Justin Pugh was more than a serviceable guard. He was a good locker room guy. He, I think he was really popular among the players. And giving up on a guy you picked in the first round after his first contract, I mean, what are you doing? It's not like he was a disaster by any means.
Right.
They just haven't done a good job developing their offensive linemen. And Dave Gettleman stressed at his opening press conference, we need hog mollies here. Well, I haven't
He
seen
hasn't
it.
got them. So,
No.
Gary, the Giants defense has now held teams to 20 points or less in 5 of the last 6 games. As you astutely pointed out, Chargers' best 2 receivers are on the COVID list. Is this a place that the Giants can hang their hats?
Hang their hat?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a funny retort to that. And I'll just say, I think they're going to get their doors blown off on Sunday.
geez.
Wow.
Who booked you? We're
I'm
still
just-
trying to be optimistic here.
I'm
You're
just
such
trying
a
to be real.
realist.
I want to be realistic here for our audience who is counting on me to shoot them straight here.
Well, somebody's got to, because I'm looking.
The Giants, you can throw me those numbers.
Colored glasses.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the Giants defense gives us a touchdown at the end of the first half to Miami. They gave up winning drives to your Washington football team.
they certainly did.
And then the Chiefs, I believe, they won near the buzzer also. Atlanta, I think that was really close. The defense might be putting up good numbers now, but they're not coming up with big stops to help win games. So, get back to me when the Giants have a 3-point lead, they're protecting with 2 minutes to go on Sunday.
They did it
And they
against
get an interception off of Herbert.
They did it against the Raiders, right, at home. So that was one of the games. Look, when you're playing on a razor-thin margin for error, they should have beaten Washington if they didn't jump off sides.
Atlanta.
The Chiefs, they threw an interception that got called back
Right.
because of a bad penalty. Look, they shot themselves in the foot. And no, I'm not making excuses for them. You can't
Actually,
do
you
that.
are.
No, you
just
can't.
did.
You can't
Yeah,
do
you're an
that.
excuse
Have you ever
video.
seen anybody shoot themselves in the foot?
Yes.
Yes, Plaxico. Well,
No, that was his leg. It was not his
Close
foot.
enough.
He was trying. He missed.
Yeah, close
You know,
enough.
I knew when I started to say that, you guys were going to throw plexiglass.
Of course. How could you not? But no, but the fact that you think they're going to get their doors blown off without two of the like ridiculously talented wide receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, I mean, that is surprising to me because I don't know. We saw when Tennessee came to New York to play the Jets and that defense, how without their two starting wide receivers, that they were just kind of inept out there and they couldn't move the ball. I get it if one of them is out. Yes, you can kind of shift things around, but to have those two wide receivers who are such a big part of the game both not be there, I think it's too much to overcome. Now, look, we don't know at this point if who is or is not going to play in that one. But if they're not there, this Giants defense can keep this very low scoring and give them a chance.
You failed to mention one thing. Between the Tennessee situation and potentially the Chargers situation. And that is Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback of the Titans and Justin Herbert.
I'm tired of this knocking Ryan Tannehill stuff, man. Look at his numbers since he's gone to Tennessee. Look at his numbers since he's gone to Tennessee. He's a very good quarterback.
Success.
He's okay.
And he's more mobile. He's more mobile than Justin Herbert is.
Justin Herbert, to me, in all seriousness, I keep saying in all seriousness because you guys just like to kid around all the time.
Fair enough.
That's my
valid.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, to me, is the closest thing I've seen to Dan Marino.
I get that here, but look, you got to give him credit. You got to give his wide receivers credit. Keenan Allen was doing this before he got there, right? Like he is a really, really good wide receiver.
Yes,
those guys get open for him. And when you look at the way they held on to the ball in contested catches, like they don't get enough credit. And Mike Williams in the red zone is a beast. He goes up and makes those plays. I mean, I just don't see it. Like, look, all credit to Justin Herbert, because I agree with you. I think he is a really, really good young quarterback and is going to be a star in this league. But you take away the top two weapons, you don't have chemistry with these guys on the practice squad. Somebody just runs a little bit of a wrong route. You know how important that is. Look at Dak Prescott when Amari Cooper and CD Lamb were out. It's just not the same because you miss a throw here, you miss a throw there. That's the game.
All right. Speaking of the game, prediction time.
Maybe you're right. I don't know. We'll see.
Gary Myers, who's going to win and why?
I mean, obviously, I think the Chargers are going to win. I'm not sure the Giants are going to score.
Oh, man. You're killing me.
I mean, tell me how they're going to score if Jake Fromm is the quarterback. Guy, he's been with them for 2 weeks.
All right, here's how they're going to do it.
Breaks at 89-yard run.
Yeah, Joe Judge this week takes a page out of his mentor Bill Belichick's playbook. He throws the ball twice in this game. That's it. We're going to run the triple option and take a page out of Georgia Tech and Navy's book there. And they are going to run against the second worst run defense in the league in the LA Chargers. I might have said San Diego earlier. And they are going to keep this game close.
I don't.
Asked and answered, Gary Myers. Asked and answered.
Okay. I'd say 27-6.
27-6.
Giants?
No.
27-6. Ouch. So last week they had 3 field goals. This week do they get 2 field goals? Do they score twice? Or do they miss an extra point like the Jets?
Gano's very good. So they're not going to miss the extra point. He'll kick 2 field goals.
2 field. So it's 2 scoring drives. That's not bad, Joe.
I think 2 scoring drives is going to win this game, actually, and I think it's going to be a 10-9 game. I'm going to give it to the Chargers though. 10-9. Yeah, sorry.
Giants win 10-9. Ladies and gentlemen,
2 scoring drives, a touchdown and a field goal.
Jake Fromm runs for the winning touchdown in the 4th quarter.
Wow.
Giants win.
I have breaking news for you.
Good.
Jets quarterback Zach Wilson named NFL's Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Week.
Wow.
That's progress.
There you go.
Yes, me.
That is progress. And we do ask you, and we're looking forward to asking you next week from the beach in Aruba.
It's the second time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Myers coming back. Right or wrong?
I will be back in 2 weeks.
Well, what about from the beach? You could do the podcast, your Apple iPods in. You don't have to. I mean, you're good to go. You're good to go. What do you think?
Text my wife and ask her if it's okay.
Done. Joe will do that. Nobody's ever said no to no average Joe. Gamers, thank you. We appreciate you on the New York Blitz. We appreciate you on PIX on Pods. PIX?
On Pigskin.
Oh, yeah. Is that what this is
There
called?
we go.
Yeah, I
Podskin.
like that. Podskin, Pigskin.
Can I
thank you
sign
so
off by
much.
saying from high above 42nd Street
You
No, 'cause
can,
you're not.
And you just did.
on the 10th floor, and do you know on the 7th floor is where my former employer, the New York Daily News, used to have an office. And that was before they moved to 33rd Street and before they moved to around the Staten Island Ferry and before they moved where they no longer have an office. But I think at the last report, there was still a newspaper. I'm not sure about that.
Oh,
Sort of
boy.
my little dig at my former employer here, but
And on that note, thanks everybody for listening
we're
to
going to
this
sign off.
edition of PIX on Pigskin.
So I highly recommend you don't go on a float in the water with your $150 ear pods.